phone up and give somebody a call for some help. Give somebody a call for some help. There is no excuse for domestic violence. Absolutely no excuse at all. We're reaching out to Mr. Jim Dewitt on Messenger here. Let me let him know we are in the studio. All right. In the studio at 347-3017. All right. God has been awfully good. We hope you went to church somewhere yesterday. Yesterday we went to Coy, Alabama, and we sang over there a great song. Pastor Oliver had a great message, and we enjoyed ourselves. And we sang a song that we have been singing for several years, but the lady said that she had never heard the song. But anyway, she wanted me to give her a heads up on where to find that song, so we sent it to her last night on Facebook. We hope she was able to get it. Okay, let's get back to Mr. Jim Dewitt at Mabry Media, at DMG News, Gospel News, and GRITS, DMGnews.com. We're going to go to the link for his news media, DMG News, Monday, November the 4th. He covers local high school sports, DMG Live, Gospel, and GRITS with Jim Dewitt. Some of the things that he talked about, like 40% of voters impeachment a partisan ploy to oust Trump. Here's some more news for you. GQ and the new masculinity turning men into women. Digital currency coming soon. Worldwide push to kill cash. Federal judge smacked the University of Iowa for ludicrous anti-Christian discrimination. Drag queen story, Iowa invades the church. Is Christianity really a numerical decline in America? Jeffrey Epstein autopsy more consistent with homicidal strangulation than suicide, Dr. Michael Baden reveals. Midshipman gets Satanic Temple study group at Naval Academy. 90 years after Black Monday, 3 things you don't know about crash of 1920. Texas School District to teach 3rd graders about Sodom and condom. Man, some powerful things here, which Jim covers in his media blitz. I am reaching out to him now to see can I get a hold of him and give him a call. One other thing, let's go into some of the things that you can do to locate Jim Dewitt on the media. You can go DMGnews.com. DMGnews.com. Some of the stories that he covered: male funding, indiscriminate in the city. Monday, November the 4th. Monday, November the 4th. Monday, November the 4th. Charlie Butts, One News now.com. Residents of Orlando, Florida are being called into action to protect the children of the city. Florida Family Action has sounded the alarm after learning that Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer was allocated $3,000 in tax funds to finance 6 drag queen story hour at public libraries. Oh man! Actually, allocated $3,000 in taxpayer funds to finance 6 drag queen story hours at the public library. Oh, we think this is outrageous. Comments John Steinberger, head of the Cultural Action Organization. It borders on child abuse. The person who's reading these stories is a man dressed as a woman who, as an adult entertainer, who strips regularly at local gay nightclubs. Steinberg says, nothing about this is education. Instead, it is a means to indoctrinate little children into the transgender movement. Suppose legitimate purpose is teaching kids about diversity and inclusion, and I can think of about 1,000 ways better than setting them before a person who's suffering from gender dysfunctioning, so to speak. And, so to speak, that is gender dysfunction, and have the term read books, attorney says. Gender dysphoria is a mental disorder that calls for mental health counseling to align one's thinking with his or her own born gender. Steinberg is urging Orlando residents to contact Mayor Dyer and express their displeasure over this indoctrination. They can also be protected by not letting their children attend the session. That's absolutely, oh man, that's absolutely crazy stuff there. That is absolutely crazy stuff. Good morning, Jim, and welcome to Howcee Productions Gospel Blog Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Good morning,
Good
Freddie.
morning.
Well, I'm
a
little chilly.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. As God says, still percolating.
Still percolating.
Still percolating. Yeah. My grandmama used to say early in the morning, go in there and check that pot and see is it percolating. You remember them old pots on the stove? Had a little round ball at the top, and that coffee be popping up.
Yeah.
And you say, Grandma, it's percolating. All right.
Yeah.
Don't get burned. Push it off to the side. Good morning, Jim.
There you go.
Man.
Good morning.
Talk to me, man. I'm okay. Talk to me, man.
I was listening to the story that you just read about the drag queen story hours, and of course on our website we post news stories very similar to that because they're not reported in the mainstream media, and people, most people have very little awareness of some of these things that are going on. So I applaud you for addressing them on your show. And, of course, we do that on our website also. But that's deplorable to think about what's happening in Orlando, Florida. But it's happening all over. It's not restricted to Orlando. I mean, it's everywhere you look now that this mindset, this kind of lifestyle is getting a stronghold in this country, and they're doing it through indoctrination of young people because, as the old expression goes, if you start them young, you can kind of raise them the way you want them.
Man, oh, man. Jim, I go to church every day, not every day, but on Sunday, and teach Sunday school and deal with children and work with kids and youth. And it's absolutely true what you said. It's amazing what is taking place, whereas before when we were coming up, those things were still happening, but not with the relative commonality and front-in-your-face pace that is happening now. It's staggering and mind-boggling to know what's taking place. And guess what? Those of us that know, such as you and myself, and those of us that know When I say no, no Christ has to sound it, has to sound the alarm, has to speak it, has to say it. You can't force nobody to live no way. Go ahead.
No. I was having coffee at Huddle House the other day, and of course we don't hear very much about the positive things happening in our world today. Everything is negative. And this gentleman asked me, he said, why in the world are these things happening? And my response was, because they must. The book tells us they've got to happen for everything to come into place as the prophets describe. Now, someone out there might say, wait a minute, you're getting off on your pulpit now. But, the thing is that everything really comes to the point of the cross. And if you can't accept that, I think you're in trouble anyway. And because a lot of people can't accept that, we have these things taking place in our world today, just as the Bible prophesied, because people have rejected the truth.
They have rejected it totally. And guess what? So like you say, right. God said these things are going to come to pass. And guess what? Not one jot is going to be lost. Nothing. God is not coming till all these things do take place. Well, Jim,
that's right.
Tell me about your DMG news media and how long you've been at it. I estimated in my opening statement, in my commentary, that we had some 60-plus years, and it may be more than that. I know I've been in there since 1999, and I know you was in it. You introduced me. Tell them about, well, we started at WYNI. You was the program director, and you brought me in to do a program called Total Gospel Song. And you just let me have a free range of doing something that is not being done and what is every day now on the internet, where you play gospel, country, bluegrass, wisdom, some of everything. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I broke into broadcasting in 1968. So I don't know. I can't tell you everything that will work, but I can sure tell you what won't work because I've been down that road.
Go ahead, Jim.
But broadcasting, with the advent of internet technology, broadcasting has changed, and we're in a situation now where slowly but surely the stream is taking over the broadcast. Now, I think you're going to see rural radio stations like in Monroeville, Alabama, and places like that who are going to survive. I'm not sure the larger stations are, because the overhead is much less for internet streaming than it is broadcasting. You don't have the expense, and you can you demand an audience that is worldwide rather than restricted to a particular area. But we're doing DMG News. I just felt led a few years ago when Jody Mabry and I started it that we needed to address the news, as I said earlier, that wasn't being broadcast in the mainstream media. And so we kind of launched a format where we put the news out there that is pertinent to the Christian community. Not only that, we broadcast high school and college sports events because, as I said before, there's a lot of negative stuff out there, and we try to, as the song says, accentuate the positive by doing things like this and recognizing our young people for their achievements. At the same time, it's not restricted to athletics because we try to recognize our young people for their academic achievements, for their civic achievements. It's just kind of a different approach that you don't see in mainstream radio today, and we've gotten tremendous response to it.
I think it's a great format, Jim. I always admire your creativity and your visionary thinking and programming, how you go about doing what you do in the media. So